Hi there! It's been a little over a year now since the Polybrute 12 entered my studio, and I feel that at this point, I've used it long enough to finally be able to give you a long-term review and tell you what I like about it, as well as what I don't, beyond the spec sheet from a real user's perspective. Now, before we begin, please know that Arturia sent me Polybrute 12 at no cost, but they have no say whatsoever over my opinions here, and they don't get to see this video before you do. If you're already subscribed, huge welcome back, my friend. This is your first time here.
Hi, welcome to the Midlife Synthesist. Let's get started.
If you've ever bought a car, you know that there are tons of features that seemed really important when you first got it, but as time goes by, you realize that most of them were really there just to get you gassed up, and you only ever really use a handful of them. In my experience, the same thing tends to happen with synths. So, as I said in the intro, instead of giving you a laundry list of the specific features that the Polybrute 12 has, I'm instead going to focus on what has really stood out to me and has kept me coming back to it time and time again over the course of this past year. Number 1, the sound. The sounds that this machine is able to produce are simply astounding, and quite frankly, if this wasn't number 1 on the list, I think that would be a major problem. Thankfully, the Polybrute 12 has a sound palette that is as vast as it is versatile, and if you're a fan of the original, you're going to feel right at home here. Inversely though, if the original sound didn't convince you, I'm not sure that the 12 will be able to win you over either. I'd say it's most comfortable with evolving pads and plucky piercing leads, as well as some of the loveliest synth keys patches that I've heard in a while. And of course, though this is not meant to be a proper competitor to something like the Sub 37 or the Pro 3, I think it's still able to hold its own well enough in the low end for a polysynth. Aside from the raw sounds of its beautiful analog oscillators and its dual filters, the effects section of the synth is something that is only rivaled by the likes of Novation's Peak and Summit. One of the things that I appreciate the most about the Polybrute is that its sound and character is very much its own. It can come very close to emulating other synths like Prophets and Jupiters, but it's not really trying to imitate anything either. By the way, I just want to give a quick shout out to this video sponsor, Analog Cases.
Analog Cases makes custom cases for most popular synths and groove boxes, as well as desktop stands, performance stands, and my favorite, the TrackPack Backpack, which can easily fit an Ableton Push 3 or an MPC Live 2, and was voted this year's most comfortable backpack to sleep in by Bruno, my ferret. Use my affiliate link in the description to get a discount on your next purchase, and don't miss out on their end of the year sale.
Thank you, Analog Cases, for supporting me and other creators like me. Now, back to the video. The 12 Voices of Polyphony. The original Polybrute, which in essence was the same synth engine with the same core capabilities as this one, had only 6 voices, which could at times feel limiting, especially when using presets with long releases or playing chords with both hands. There were several workarounds for that though, and just like the mighty Prophet 6, the sound was so good that it kind of offset the limited polyphony. You were willing to take that cost. Now with 12 voices, the new Polybrute feels like an open field where you can just stretch your legs and wander freely. Without the constant preoccupation of running out of voices, I tend to use the bitimbral splits and layering modes on the keyboard more often, and I also use bigger chords and sustain notes longer while playing. Stacking up notes and using the unison now also makes it sound absolutely massive. The new keybed. I probably said this many times before at this point, but I think that the Polybrute 12's keybed is one of my favorite keybeds on any synth ever. What's also funny though, and this might sound like blasphemy to you, is that half of the time that I'm using the Polybrute 12, I'm actually using it as a MIDI controller to control other synths. The thing is, when I'm making music, I generally use lots of different synths, and I need to control them with a MIDI keyboard. And even though I own other smaller dedicated MIDI controllers, none of them come even close to how good it feels to play on the Polybrute's MPE Poly Aftertouch capable keybed. It has just the right amount of resistance and bounce to it, making it an absolute pleasure to play virtual pianos or other hardware modules with it. Finally, and this is just as true for the 12 as for the original Polybrute, the panel layout and just the ease of use. I have synths and groove boxes that I've forgotten how to use after just a couple of weeks of not using them, whereas an entire month can go by, and as soon as I turn the Polybrute on, I know exactly where I am and what I need to do to get the sounds I want. The Polybrute 12's layout is on par with the greatest, say Pro 3, Peak, and Summit in terms of just how simple and user-friendly it is, which is something of a miracle considering all the complexity and sound design that this thing is capable of. I must have read the manual once or twice when I got it, and save for some very obscure technical thing, I rarely ever needed to check it again, which I think proves that this thing is truly a work of art in terms of user interface. As for the cons, they are more on the physical kind than the actual synth or sound design experience with it. The size and weight of the Polybrute 12 is something that must be absolutely considered before you think about getting one. It's similar to maybe getting a big dog, for example. Like sure, a Great Dane is awesome, but does it really fit in my apartment? It's definitely one of the largest and heaviest synths I've ever owned. And moving it from the stand to the desktop is something of an upper body strength challenge, which, if you have an injured left arm like me, can be something of a nerve-wracking experience. If I was still playing live in venues, I'm not sure I'd be taking this with me to many gigs, which is kind of ironic, because this might be one of the most expressive synths to play on, thanks to the keybed, the Morphe, and the wooden touch capacitive slider over here. However, if you're already used to hauling around an 88 key Nord stage around with you, this shouldn't be really that much of a problem. Same as with the original, I still wish this thing had an audio in option to process external audio through its lovely filters and effects. Although, just like in the original, having that option would probably make the price go even higher, which I don't think would have been good for pretty much anybody. After more than a year with it, I still feel like I'm only scratching the surface of what the Polybrute 12 can do, but what I've already gotten out of it has been nothing short of amazing. I believe the Polybrute 12 has truly earned its place as one of the great modern analog synthesizers, and I really hope Arturia keep developing instruments in the same vein in the future. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video useful, or at least entertaining. Have a great week. I'll see you next time.